everyone, welcome back to Rocky Mountain Homestead. My name is Angela. I am so glad you guys are here because in today's video, I'm going to take you guys along and share with you what we think and believe is the best cheesecake recipe out there. That's right, little biased, but I love cheesecake and I've stumbled across so many recipes over the years, but back in 2017, I needed a dessert for a 4th of July party I was hosting. And this was it. There was like no desire to go try anything else out there. We fell in love with it. It is a request every time we have company to make this for dessert. It's absolutely delicious. So I'm going to take you guys along. I'm also going to share with you the crust that I use and the ratios that I've kind of figured out over the years what works. There's a lot of great recipes out there. You can even go to the store and buy yours if you want to. This is super easy too. There's no water baths. There's none of that crazy extra steps. This is just like pop it in the oven, forget about it for a couple hours, and then pull it out and chill it in the fridge. Enjoy it. That's it, guys. Super simple. And I'm also going to put a fun little Easter twist on this. You may have seen it all over the internet by now. But for Easter, a lot of people crush up robin eggs and add it into different cheesecake recipes. And we're going to do that fun little twist using this cheesecake recipe. So if you guys are feeling inspired and want to try something absolutely delicious and amazing and present that on your Easter table for dessert, then stick around, follow me, and give it a try. And even without the Easter twist, it is delicious just as is. I do strawberry toppings, blueberry toppings, all the good stuff, but we're going to do a fun little Easter cheesecake. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take a 9-inch springform pan. Now there's a lot of debate with cheesecake, whether to grease it or not. I very, very lightly just spray the bottom, very lightly mist. That's it, that's all I did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 cups, which is just about 2 packages of some finely ground graham cracker crumbs. Just put them in a Ziploc bag and roll it with a rolling pin. That works great. I'm also going to add to this 1/3 cup of white sugar. And then to this, I have 1 stick of unsalted butter that's melted. So I'm just going to scrape that out of this jar that I melted it in. And then this is totally optional. I personally like it. You don't have to do this. But I started at first with a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, but over the years I actually really like to use a whole 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. You do not have to do this. This is completely optional, but I always do that with my key lime pie, my apple pie, if I'm doing like a Dutch apple pie, and cheesecake. I just found it tastes really good together. So I am adding additionally 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Once again, you do not have to. And then you are just going to give this a good little mix. I also have my oven preheated right now to 375 degrees. If you want a baked crust, then you want to put this in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes. I usually do about 6 or 7 minutes, and then you're going to cool it before filling. I have found with cheesecake that helps keep it be a little bit less crumbly when you're slicing your cheesecake. It's not really like breaking and falling apart and crumbling. And that's why I've also altered and changed my graham cracker ratio over the years in the butter. Usually a lot of recipes don't have enough graham crackers for the thickness of the crust, and a lot of recipes are lacking as much butter as you need to actually hold it together. So once again, 375 degrees in the oven for 7 minutes. If you do, about 6 to 7 minutes, if you do want to pre-bake your crust. And if you don't want to have a baked crust and you want a no-bake crust, then I definitely suggest putting your crust, once it's spread out in your springform pan, in the refrigerator for at least 1 hour before filling. Clean hands. I always have clean hands. I always wash my hands, so just in case you're wondering. And then we're going to take this mixture and we're going to dump it out into our springform pan. And get that all out. And then you can use the bottom of a measuring cup or a spatula. I'm just going to use my silicone little spatula because I already got it dirty. Why make more dishes? So I'm just going to even this out and press this out, and I'm going to pop this in the oven for about 6 to 7 minutes. And it firms up beautifully. When you don't have enough butter, it's still crumbly. So if you find a recipe out there that you want to use for your crust, and it's kind of falling apart. Just add a little bit more butter. But this one, like I said, is tried and true, and this is my go-to for this cheesecake recipe. Is specifically mainly for this cheesecake recipe. So I promise it will do what you want it to do if you decide to use it. Okay, my oven's preheated. I'm going to pop this in the oven so you can tip it and it doesn't spill around. I'm going to put this in a 375-degree oven for about 6 to 7 minutes. For my cheesecake filling, what I do is I have 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese that I like to kind of bring to room temperature. So as I prepare for the crust, that's when I usually set these out. Over here, I also have 1.5 cups of granulated white sugar. I have 3/4 cup milk over here. I have 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sour cream, 4 large eggs, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. The first thing I'm going to do is take my cream cheese and I'm going to dump it into my mixer. The cream cheese, I'm going to be adding in the sugar. Now with cheesecake, a lot of people don't want to overmix. It's going to be suggested, be careful not to overmix. Don't open the oven door because it can crack the cheesecake. I have followed these steps very cautiously throughout the years, and I'm going to be honest, there are times it still cracks. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to purposely make sure my cheesecake cracks to show you how to fix a cracked cheesecake. It's fine, okay? It's totally fine. I'm going to mix this together just until smooth. So I'm going to do a level 2. While that's mixing, I have taken this out of the oven and switched my oven temperature to 350 degrees, so it's ready for the cheesecake. This is a nice smooth consistency. All the sugar has been mixed in. You can double check because it's going to be stuck to your paddle, which is why I definitely recommend, one way to avoid over mixing is to use somewhat room temperature cream cheese. So yep, there's no sugar on the bottom. That is mixed well, and that was maybe about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. To this mixture, I'm now going to be blending in my milk. And I personally, so it mixes well, because this is such a creamy mix, I like to just do half of it at first so it doesn't splash around too much and it gets incorporated a little easier. So I usually pour half the milk and stir, and then I scrape down the sides of the bowl a little bit and the paddle, which you cannot see at the angle I have you, but that's all I'm doing is just kind of scraping it out. Scraping it down a little bit, and then I'm going to be mixing in that second half of milk, and I'm going to be once again just stirring that in. And once the milk is mixed in, we're going to follow it with the eggs. So I am actually going to do one at a time. So I got 1 egg in, and I'm just going to stir that in. I'm going to do my second egg and stir that in as well. Followed by the third egg. And last but not least, the fourth. At this point, this is what it's going to look like. I'm now going to add to this my sour cream. Sorry about that. Somehow my camera lighting died. I don't know how that worked. But anyway, so I am going to finish putting this sour cream into the mixing bowl, followed by the flour and the vanilla extract. And I'm going to just mix this until smooth on stir. And after about 30 seconds, I am just going to lower my bowl and get all the little pieces here that are kind of stuck to my paddle. I'm going to scrape around the bowl and just get that all off the sides for the final last probably 20 to 30 seconds of mixing this just to be sure it's all incorporated. If it becomes a little lumpy, especially after scraping off the sides here, you guys, it's all going to melt. It's all going to melt into the cheesecake. Don't even worry about it. I've heard many people over the years, you know, oh, make sure you don't have a lumpy batter. It has to be smooth. That's not true. At least I have come to realize it's not true. So I'm going to raise my bowl. We're going to stir it for just about 20 seconds longer. Now that my cheesecake filling is ready to go, what I have here is some Cadbury mini eggs. And you can use any type of egg for this. Now, at this point, you can just decorate the top of the cheesecake and leave the cheesecake plain as is. Like I said, I have kids, and I like to make things fun for them. So a lot of the time on the internet, you'll see the Cadbury mini eggs folded into like no-bake cheesecakes. They're actually mostly in no-bake cheesecakes, and I'm baking my cheesecake. So I just wanted to put that out there. You're going to be baking these into it. But I'm going to, you could use a Ziploc and a rolling pin and just roll them around. You can roll them, sorry about that interruption, with a rolling pin if you'd like to, or you can use a mortar and pestle. That's what I'm going to try doing. If you try chopping these in half, they're gonna fly everywhere. So please don't do that. Like I said, probably a Ziploc and a rolling pin is the easiest, but I already have my rolling pin in the sink from when I did my graham crackers for the crust. So I'm just going to break these up and I'll bring you right back. So what I am doing, I used about a cup. You can use more. I don't want it heavy in the cheesecake because the cheesecake is sweet enough. So what I'm doing, you don't have to do this, but I did use the mortar and pestle. It worked great. But I was looking for more of a chopped look for the eggs. I'm just putting it through this strainer just to get the powder, because some pieces were ground, of course, a little bit too much, just to get that fine powder, if you can even see it out of it. I really don't prefer to have that in the cheesecake, so that removed that. And we have a beautiful creamy filling for the cheesecake. So what I'm going to do is just dump, I might not even use all of these. I might only use half. I have about 1 cup of these chopped, like I said. So I'm just going to slowly, so I don't overmix, slowly fold it in. And I'm going to do another good size handful. And another one. I got some really good size chunks here that I prefer to use. And I'm going to just go ahead and go for it and use up the rest of what's left. And now I've got a nice cool crust, and it is ready for this to be poured in. I'm going to switch back to a silicone spatula and clean my spoon that was in the mix. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour this cheesecake filling into this pan. My kids are playing outside and are in and out at the moment, so don't mind the random yelling. I am doing something and cannot pause the video. So I'm going to pour every single bit in here. Like I said, there might be a few little chunks. It is okay. It is okay, I promise you. It will still turn out just fine. Like that little glob right there. It'll be just fine. All right, and now that I got all my mixture out, my hands are clean. I know, I feel like I shouldn't have to say that. Hi. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but some people might not realize how many times I wash my hands in a video. And this beautiful cheesecake is ready to go into a 350-degree oven for 1 hour. Now, it's going into a 350-degree oven for 1 hour. When your timer goes off and it's been 1 hour, you are going to shut your oven off, leave the door closed, and let that cheesecake sit in the oven for 5 to 6 hours. During that time, it's going to slowly cool down and it's going to set and it's going to be perfect, I promise. And once again, if it cracks, which I'm going to make sure mine cracks, how do you do that? Open the door. Sudden change in temperature can cause that sometimes too. But I'm going to purposely make sure it cracks so I can show you guys how to fix it. It's so easy. So you're not disappointed the next time you make cheesecake and you think it's ruined. It's a super simple, easy trick. I will see you guys back in 5 to 6 hours. And I'm just going to say now, it's going to be dark. It's going to be nighttime. It is now 4 o'clock here and I'm going to get started on some dinner prep. I will see you guys at about 9 o'clock tonight. All right, so it's been an hour. Yes, I need to clean my oven door and it's loud. I need to take my girls to youth right now, so they're all scrambling to eat. But this is what it looks like after an hour. So I'm going to let this sit in the oven probably for five more hours without touching it. But this is what it is going to look like after an hour. All right, it is day 2. I'm going to take you guys along and share with you how to finish up this cheesecake. So I'm going to open this, which I would advise doing before you put it in the fridge because condensation and moisture, but I'm going to get it out. Hang on one sec. Just lightly get this side here. There we go. Now just to show you, the cake did crack. And like I said, I kind of wanted to show you that. I have a cup of really hot water right here. And I have this little, not quite sure what it is. It's like a scraper of some sort, a scraper spatula. That's what it is. So that's what I'm going to call it. And I get you as propped up as I can. I'm going to let this sit for a minute in the really, really hot water, which I actually might have to add a little bit more hot water because by the time I got my tripod set up, it kind of cooled off. But as you can see, this is really cold and chilled. So you want really hot water to heat this up, and all you're going to do is kind of smooth this in. And obviously, because it's cheesecake, you see that. I don't know if you see that. I hope you see that. But it really smooth out almost instantly. So where that crack was going up, you can't even really see it. And most of the time, people serve cheesecake with a topping of some sort on it. So you're not even going to notice unless you serve it plain, but you still won't really be able to notice. You might see a few little smear marks, but other than that, guys, you can seal up the cracks pretty easily. Okay, I had to fix my lighting. It was absolutely horrible. I looked over and I'm like, oh yeah, you guys aren't even going to be able to see that. So that's all I'm doing is just kind of smearing it back and forth together and closing up the cracks. So doesn't matter how big of one you have, you can smooth it and fill it in, but the goal is to just keep getting this really, really hot. Getting that metal really hot. I just wipe it off real quick and then close it right on up. Hey, buddy. Kids have been playing outside. It's so gorgeous out. We had that horrible, like 4 foot, some areas at 5 feet of snowfall. And we had about probably, I don't know, 3.5, 4 feet, somewhere around there. And it's like 54 degrees out. It's beautiful. So did some animal chores this morning. The kids are playing outside. So that's all we are doing right here is just going around and, like I said, sealing it up. But it's really discouraging when you make a cheesecake and you got to serve it to people that aren't your family. Even your family, you don't want a big crack in the middle of it. So that's all you do, just really, really hot water. And this by now, like, really isn't even that hot. It's just really warm. But the hotter it is, the quicker this process goes. Then, like I said, just look at that. Smooth it right on out. And like I said, you're going to have some smudges. You can just play around with it. And this is for us, and I'm covering the top, so I really don't care about this. But obviously, you get the point. You can just keep on working on smoothing this out. And that is it, guys. There it is, nice and smooth. So let's proceed with the decorating. So there are a lot of really cool Easter decorations you can do on top, and I was kind of going back and forth between a few. I was just going to do like some dollops of whipped cream, kind of going around the edge of the cake like this. And then those little bird nest things that are on the back of the Cadbury egg, you know, the recipes people do all the time this year, they make the little bird's nest and they put the robin eggs in it, or Cadbury eggs. I was going to do something like that, but then I was like, you know, I want to do something a little bit more fun with our littler kids. Anyway, you could do all different types of decorations that you want. So I was going to do that one for the top of it, but I thought of something a little bit cuter, and that is what I'm going to do. So I actually ran out to Safeway just like an hour ago, because that's how long it takes to run to town and do things. So I got some sweetened coconut, and I am going to work on dyeing this green. Okay, I don't have like the little drop ones. I use these for like Play-Doh for the kids. I don't have any green. I only have one yellow, and then I have my really nice icing ones. But I have this little tube that says green, so I'm going to assume it'll work. I think you want more of like a liquid type food coloring for this part. I'm just going to mix this up until I get a green color that is evenly distributed. But if you guys, I forgot these, forgot I don't have these, but this would be so much quicker and so much easier. Okay, I kind of got it, well, a little bit more. It's not that easy with the dye that I have, but anyway, it is obviously green and my hands are washed. So I am kind of decorating this as I go. We're going to come up with something together, but I'm thinking like an Easter egg hunt type scene. So we are going to layer this grass, and I'm really hoping I don't have clumps of dye here, but I'm seeing some darker pieces. It's all fine. It's all good. I'm just going to layer this cheesecake with some shredded green coconut. And now that we have our grass, our Easter grass on our cheesecake, I'm going to pop this back in the fridge so it stays nice and chilled while I take you guys along and make two other easy Easter treats that I'm going to be making specifically for this themed Easter cheesecake. And we're going to be using them as decorations, but I'm going to take you guys along and share two more easy recipes with you. Okay, for the next treat that we're making, we are going to make these easy bird nest treats. You see them all the time this time of year. Now, there's different ways you can make it. You can make it with the Reese's peanut butter chips, or sometimes what I really like to do is I like to use butterscotch chips instead. But for simplicity and because the kids like these a lot, I'm going to be doing these. So I'm going to be melting the 1 cup of milk chocolate chips with 2/3 cup of these peanut butter chips. I'm also going to be adding into that, once it is melted, 1 whole 5-ounce can of some chow mein noodles. I emptied my whole can of the chow mein noodles in here. Okay, I am now going to mix the chocolate and peanut butter chips that are melted into the noodles. Once you have it mixed together, you're then going to take it out and put it on parchment paper and form your nests. And I have my eggs off to the side, which my hands are probably going to get really chocolatey, so I'm going to dump a few eggs in here. I was thinking of doing one big one in the middle, but I haven't quite figured out if that's what I want to do. Actually, it's going to be easier with this. So I'm going to make one big one, but I'm still going to make a few small ones on the side just in case I change my mind. So you're going to dump it out and then form your nests. All right, the nests are formed. Time to add the eggs. All right, and for the very last treat that we are going to do, we are going to need some white fondant, some pink fondant, some white baking melting chips, some black decorating icing, and some Oreos. It can be regular or double stuffed. The first thing I'm going to do is measure out some white fondant, and I'm going to be using about 4 to 5 ounces. And from this, I am going to make about 20 little balls, all even in size. Okay, after you have about 20 circles, we are going to roll these. We're going to kind of roll them into a cylinder shape about 1 inch long, and we're going to add a point on one of the ends. Okay, my lighting is terrible because it is later in the evening. Oh, I had gotten from Walmart my pink fondant, which this does not look pink now with my lighting, but I got my pink fondant and they forgot to give me white fondant, so I had to wait till Mike got home from work to bring me the pink fondant. We had dinner. All that to say, it is nighttime, it's dark, and my lighting's a little terrible, but I have about close to 3 ounces of pink fondant here, and I am going to turn those into about 30 little circles or spheres, which need to be about 1/3 of the size of these white fondant spheres. And these are the rabbit ears. I did my best to form them just with little points at the top. So we are now going to roll out 30 little balls. I'm going to take off just a little bit, and you're going to roll it into a little ball, and you can size it at this point. You can go ahead and size it at this point, but for some of these, you are going to be using them as just a little middle section of the year, so you can also pull off a little bit, play with it a little bit, see what size you're going to need, roll it up, oops, roll it up, and then kind of fit it in to how you want it to look on your ear. Okay, so I have, sorry about that, my dog barked to come in as soon as I pressed record. So I have the insides of the bunny ears all done, kind of like a raindrop shape. And then I have 10 of the noses rolled out right here. And I totally misspoke. I weighed out 3 ounces of pink fondant, but I only ended up using 1 ounce. While these are setting up over here, I have 10 Oreo cookies, and like I said, these are double stuffed. You can use regular, but that's what they had, and that's what I got. So I got 10 double stuffed Oreos here, and I'm going to take about 1.5 cups of these white candy melts, and I'm going to melt them down in the microwave. Okay, this one, I don't know why, is a little bit thick. The candy melts, I did do it for about 2 minutes in 30-second intervals, but that's as melted as I can get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip an Oreo into here, and you're just going to want to coat it, and I'm going to kind of gently let it drip for a minute, and then I am going to set it down on the parchment paper, and I am going to get the ears onto it. So let me pick these right here. Whoop. I actually might let this icing set up a little bit. Hold on, there we go. Might be a little too soon, but I'm going to gently put these where I want them. And it is, yeah, I should have let it drip a little bit longer because it is a little gooey. So maybe give it a minute or two. And then I'm going to put that little bunny nose right at, trying to make it round again. I'm going to put it right here. All right, I am going to finish up with the last Oreos that I have over here and dip them into the candy melt mix and get these assembled. Okay, a little bit messy because mine started to actually thicken back up. I probably could have put it in for another 30 seconds. I need to fix the side of that one, but I'm gonna let these sit and let these set. There's an extra bunny nose. And I'm going to let these dry a little bit before we move to the next step. All right, so these have set up. I have I think a number 2 tip. I can't find my number 1. You don't have to do this. You can use a Ziploc. You can use the corner of a Ziploc and just cut a little tiny hole. But I have a ton of these bags, so I'm just going to use what I have and what works for me. And I'm going to get this set up to pour this into. And this is just going to be for the eyes, so you really only need a teeny tiny amount. you can actually find decorating pens, and I have one. I just don't know where it is. So I am just going to squeeze out a little bit. That was a lot of it, but it's okay. And I am going to pull this out. And actually, I might need more because I do need more. I need to at least be able to fill the tip, even though I only need a tiny amount, but there we go. So I'm going to get this ready, and I'm going to do my best. I don't have you angled very well right now, but I think you get the point at this point. So I'm just going to clean this guy up a little bit, and I'm going to get my bag ready, and all you need to do is just make 2 little dots. So there's the face. We're going to do a dot here. My washer and dryer or actually my dryer is really loud right now, sorry. So just 2 little eyes, that's it. And that is what we are going to do with the rest of these, just getting that little face on and finishing it up. So once again, I'm just going to put a little eye here, kind of right in between, and a little eye there. There we go. All right, so these little guys are all ready to go and are set up nicely, and the fondant is in place. And then we also have these that are ready to go. I am going to get the cheesecake out and play around a little bit and get something set up, some type of Easter springy type scene. Okay, so originally the big nest that I was going to do in the middle, I realized takes up kind of the whole cake just about. It's actually pretty big. So I think I'm going to have to do something a little bit different. I am going to play around with this for a little bit, but I did find I've had these for a little while. They're just flowers that went on some of my daughter's sugar cookies that I did for a birthday party for favors a little while back. So I'm actually going to get these out and place them throughout the grass. I think that'll be really cute. Okay, my very poor attempt of making a bow. I was like, maybe I could put one of the flowers on its ear for like a little girl and a little boy, but that was not looking right. So I tried to take some fondant and make a little bow. It was not that easy. So anyway, I just thought this was kind of cute. I scattered the flowers around and kind of tucked some of the eggs in. Of course, when I picked this platter up, it kind of shifted a little, but kind of tucked them in, kind of like a little Easter egg hunt theme going on here, you know, little egg tucked in over there. But overall, it's cute. My kids are gonna love it. It's Eastery, it's springy, and that's really what I was going for. And we just, like I said in another video, we just have like 4.5 feet of snow in some areas, and we're just over it. And I'm ready for spring. We went outside today, me and the kids, and there were little tiny pieces of green grass starting to stick out, and I'm just like, you know what, I love this, and this is the look I was going for. So I originally was just going to do this video doing the cheesecake, but as I got around to playing with the theme and the idea I was going for and making a scene, I'm like, you know what, we're going to use 2 other Easter treats that are super easy to make, and I'm going to fit these recipes into this video as well. So I'm going to need all the luck I can get with my editing, because it's going to be very choppy for the simple reason that this was only supposed to be a cheesecake video, but we're going to throw in 2 extra treats. And anyway, if anything, I know, because this looks like a lot of sweetness, right? If anything, try just the cheesecake recipe. You will not be disappointed at all. But this is super cute to put out. Of course, this is not going to last until Easter. So all my efforts of doing this now is to get this out to you guys. So if you want to make this for Easter, you have plenty of time to do that. So we're going to have our little Easter treat a little early, and I'm going to get this video edited and get this out to you. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you give these recipes a try and have fun. Happy spring, and I will see you guys on the next video. Until then, take care and God bless.